two people had overdosed in the parking lot that night, and there was like an ambulance and there was cop cars. And I slept through the whole thing because I wore headphones to sleep, which is a giant no. But I was just starting and I made a big mistake. And then I woke up to chaos and I had no idea what was happening around me.
Welcome to the Modern Nomad Podcast. If you question your current reality and want to escape the 9-to-5 grind, then this is the show for you. And now your host, me.
Welcome back to the Modern Nomad Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. This is not our first time doing a podcast together. It's actually our second. You guys might know her from the Project Vanlife page. Basically, she's running the show over there with some great content. And today we are going to be talking to Tory Delury. So Tory, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm a little sweaty right now, but I'm good.
It's hot. The van life in summer is... Do you like van life in winter or summer better?
Honestly, it just depends because in San Diego there really isn't a winter, so I actually prefer winter. So it's great. It was like 40s in the night and like 55 during the day, so that was winter for me this year. So if I go into the snow, I can tell you that I hate the snow and I don't want to do that. What about yourself? What do you like?
I lived in Vermont last year in the van in like negative 20 degrees, and I never want to do that ever again. But I was looking forward to summer, and now that it's summer and it's like 110 degrees out, I'm like, I don't know, I might prefer extreme cold over extreme heat, but I don't have an air conditioner. Do you have an air conditioner?
I don't know. I just have a fan right above me, open up a couple of the windows, pull some air through, which isn't too bad, but it's not air conditioning. It's not the same. Like today I started to feel a little faint because I was actually in the van working on the computer all day, and I started to feel a little lightheaded. I was like, I'm going to go to the gym just so I can get some AC right now.
Yep. That's the real van life right there.
It really is. Do you have a heater?
I have a heater. Yeah, I have a Webasto.
Okay, so you at least stayed somewhat warm, and you can always put more clothes on. You can't take any more clothes off in here.
Yeah, well, so my heater was actually installed wrong, so I didn't even know it. So I didn't make van life content for the first like 2 years of living in a van, so I didn't like have anyone to talk to or really know like that I had it installed wrong and that it was working wrong. But they installed it to the van battery instead of my battery. Ooh. And so it would just shut off like halfway through the night, and I'd wake up like in my bed in like negative 4 degrees. So that was my winter in my van. So I'm not really sure how I survived, but I don't want to do it again.
It's all fixed now though?
No.
I think I heard somebody saying, or maybe one of your videos, that you were possibly going to be selling yours and starting over.
Yeah, actually, it is actually sold. It is going to be gone on August 31st. So I have like a month left with my van right now. And I've already like found another van to put a deposit on to do my next van build. So it's in motion.
So you're going to be building this next one as well yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. Because I know you did. You built this one, and how many years ago was that?
I just had the 3-year anniversary of buying my van.
Well, congratulations. That's wild. I can't even fathom that. I'm almost at 2 years, and I can't believe it.
People were like, when you hit 3 years or like 5 years, you'll be done. And I'm like, I'm at 3 years, and I'm like, I'm ready to keep going. Like we're in it for like a long haul.
Oh, 100%. So how long did it actually take you to build that one?
So I worked full time at the time. So I was working and building, and I had also never built anything in my entire life. So I think it took me like 6 or 8 months. I've never really calculated it, but it took me a while.
That's still pretty good, especially for a first build. Like, I don't know if you had all the proper tools, but like when I started, I didn't. So that slowed me down for about 2 months. And I was like, I have to buy a table saw, or I have to buy this, I have to buy that. And that definitely helps.
Absolutely. I built at my parents' house, so I had all of my dad's tools to use. But this time, I don't know where I'm going to build, but I hope to build at like a van life camp or something like that, where I could be around other van lifers, because I just don't want to miss out on like the van life, the experience of all of this while I'm building a van for a few months. I don't want to compromise that.
Oh, 100%. The best way to do it is one of my buddies, Travis. I don't know if you know Travis.
Yeah.
He builds stuff in the middle of nowhere. Like they built it at this little campsite that they had like 30 vehicles out there. Everybody kind of had like a little bit of a part of it. And I thought that was a really cool idea to do.
That sounds super cool. Plus it's like you have another set of hands if you need help, because there's just parts where like you need help. Like these are like 12-foot long boards. Like you can't put them in yourself without like the expensive things that hold them up, and it's just
Yeah.
like having someone to build with just is like makes it easier.
No, it really is. Yeah. Like I personally now work at a shop, so I understand that. I'm kind of like the right-hand man. I'm not in charge of anything. I just like if he needs help, I'm there. So I'm gonna help him out. And I've got my projects, he's got his. We kind of like
Yeah.
work together. So I definitely agree with that. So over 3 years, so it's been about 2.5 years since you've actually lived in that vehicle.
Yep.
And how has it been so far? Like love it, hate it?
Um, it's at this point, it just feels like life. Like this is just how it is. Like living in an apartment seems like alien almost. Like living in a house and having to be in one spot seems strange. That it's not even that I love it or hate it. Like this is just my life. And I do really enjoy it. Like I love being able to constantly move. Before van life, I was like cutting leases all the time, wanting to move to a different state. And now it's like not even a worry.
No, I agree with that. I was actually just thinking about this the other day. It was like if you're living in a van, usually if it's not paid off, it's still cheaper than living in a house or living in an apartment. Like maybe $500-600 a month is your van payment, and people are gladly going to pay that over $1,500-2,000 just to live in a house and be stationary and not have the freedom and flexibility that you're actually allowed with van life.
Yeah, mine is $300 a month, so I feel like that feels like a steal every month to me.
Oh, it is really, yeah. No, if that's your rent payment, people would take that every day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So with your like 2.5 years of experience in van life, like what's been the job situation? So like the point of this podcast is really to help people figure out where they're making money on the road. So like I know a lot of people are in content creation, which you currently do, but it hasn't always been that way. So can you tell us a little bit basically where you started and then progressed through? Because I know you've had a lot of gigs.
Yeah. So I've had kind of 3 different types of jobs over the time. My plan when I started van life was I had a small business where I was hand painting jackets for people going to concerts, and then COVID hit and I kind of destroyed that. So I had to think of something else. And so I started taking like 9 to 5 jobs that were kind of weird or odd. So I hand built guitars at Martin Guitar, which I loved. It was super cool getting like a backstage tour of them and actually building like $20,000 guitars every day, which is so crazy.
I have one in the van.
You really? Which one do you have?
I can't remember what type it is, but it was not a 20 grand one. I can tell you that. It was on the lower end, like 3,000-4,000.
Yeah. They make really nice guitars. So it was really
my favorite.
fun to work for them and like make those kind of guitars. After that, I worked at Ben and Jerry's in Vermont during the winter at like their factory, like the tour factory. People come in and they can see how the ice cream is made. And then my favorite job that I've had living in the van was I was an actress at the Salem Witch Dungeon in Massachusetts, and I got to like act on stage. That was like my job. I was living in Salem during Halloween, not paying rent, which rent in Salem during Halloween is just not possible. People actually like leave because it's just like you don't even want to be there. But I was living like on the hub grass where like all the events were happening, and then I was just like walking to work every day, and I loved my job. It was like peak van life for me. It felt like everything was coming together. So I feel like people don't talk enough about having a 9 to 5 when you live in a van. It seems kind of like not appealing, but I feel like if you travel and you kind of make your job the travel, like I really loved working that way. And then while I was doing that, I also had a small business where I was selling self-defense keychains and educating women on safety. So I was kind of doing that on the side. That way I could kind of fund that, because honestly, being an actress in a dungeon doesn't pay that well. So I was having 2 different jobs at once. And then I met a guy in New York, made a video together. It went viral. And all of a sudden I was a social media manager for Project Van Life. And so now I just do social media and YouTube, and I have my own channel and stuff.
Isn't that crazy? Like how everything can just change in the like blink of an eye. One video, like I posted, and I hear this all the time, but I posted it the other day. There's this like theory of one more. So every single time that you're like feeling kind of down and not sure that the next thing is going to actually work, but keep going, because that next one, that one more can get you to where you actually wanted to be. And so you actually had that tour of your van, which tell us a little bit more about that, because I knew it went like ultra viral and some celebrities saw it, news channels saw it. A lot of people saw that. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So I actually, how it happened was I was just scrolling through Instagram one day, and Caleb Simpson, who does the how much you pay for rent in New York videos, he like had a video and I just commented, oh, you should do a van tour. And then he reached out to me and like DM'd me and was like, do you know someone? And my page at the time was called Tory Delury Vanlife. And I was like, yeah, I know someone. Like, I know someone with a van. So we set up a time to like make the video. And he toured my van and he posted it and it went like crazy. Like I think it has like 60 million on YouTube just in that video alone. It has like 8 million on Instagram, and like the long form video has like 2 million. So he's like talked about it on Rachel Ray. Like there's been clips all over the place. So I actually got to talk to Ryan Seacrest. Like I got to do a radio show on Ryan Seacrest because of that. That was super cool. So it kind of just like took off like crazy. Which was super awesome to be a part of like his journey as well, because like his channel took off at the same time around that time. So like being a part of that and getting to see him like grow to like 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which is like my dream and like be so awesome to achieve one day. Getting to be a part of his journey and doing that was super cool too. So that's kind of how all of this happened. Project Vanlife saw the video. They reached out to me and said, hey, you looking for a job? And I was like, I guess like let's do it. So that's how I'm here now.
It's exciting. Yeah. So Project Vanlife, for those of you guys don't know, it is the largest like platform for content based around van life. And Tori, now you run the social media, right?
Yeah, I do their social media content. I also help with like their courses. So they have a lot of different educational courses for people starting out in van life. They also are the owners of Vanlife Academy, which is basically how they teach people how to start van life. It's like a build step by step. So if people are lost like on YouTube trying to find like individual videos and figure out the steps and put them in order, they have like professionals who do van build professionally put this course together, and you can like buy it and like get part of it, and you can just go through like one to like 100, all the different steps of doing a van build, and it just makes it so much easier. So I love promoting that, because when I think about my van build, that would have saved me so much time. Like I remember like I spent a month researching electrical systems, like just alone, and I decided to just ditch it and go for like a goal zero. So seeing that now, being like, I'm like, I feel like when I talk about it, it's like your parents when they're like, like I used to walk a mile up a hill to get to school. It's like I spent hours researching, and now there's this like amazing resource. So I'm really passionate about it. So it's awesome that I get to promote it as like a job every day.
Definitely. No, I love that that whole course that you were just talking about with Project Vanlife. Like if I was a first time builder now, I would, and I knew about it at the time, I would have bought it, because it would have saved me a lot of hours of actually like scrolling through YouTube videos and like pausing the screen so I could see how everybody's electrical wires ran, what gauge they have, all these things. Like learning that stuff was insane. But with this thing, it's like, hey, here's exactly how you do it. You can follow this or you can make it your own. And it's done by professional van builders, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, professional van builders. And it's only $100, which to me is like $100 is like for that many hours of your life, like you're getting so much for like saving so much time for just $100 that I just think it's an amazing deal for people who are starting out. I talk about it all the time.
No, it definitely is. And especially the $100 thing, like you're probably, if you're going to do it yourself, you're going to mess up with at least $100 worth of material. So go ahead and buy that. That way you can save the $100 somewhere else.
I definitely made a lot of mistakes in my van build on this one. I'm excited for round 2 to try again.
Yeah. No, I still do it. I make a lot of mistakes, even all the pros. Like you're going to make mistakes, but save yourself some time and learn how to do it the right way the first time. Other than like social media, because like for the people that are just like normal 9 to 5, they currently like live in a house or an apartment. They aren't sure how to even get started with social media, because that's almost like a luck of the draw. Like you were saying, it was that one video that just blew up and it helped you out, which same for me. I've had multiple videos that went viral on TikTok and it just got me to where I was. But for the people that are like regular 9 to 5, maybe not even remote, what would be like your idea to basically get them in the door to get that 9 to 5 for van life?
To get a 9 to 5 for van life, or to get like which kind of job?
While something that they can actually like do van life with.
Yeah. So when I did my 9 to 5, I honestly just looked for something that would bring me joy, because when you're living in a van, you can save so much money that you don't need to take the hardcore strenuous jobs. You can just do something that brings you joy. So for me, it was learning about Martin guitars and making guitars. And then when it wasn't anymore, I just quit, because I didn't need to stay in that area anymore. I could go somewhere else. I wanted to live in Salem during Halloween. So I kind of just found what I was passionate about, and then found those smaller jobs, because you can afford to take lesser paying jobs because you're saving so much money in a van. So that's kind of just how I did it. I just went onto like LinkedIn and just looked for jobs. As far as like small businesses, I just kind of started two randomly, and they've both just luckily done really well. My first business, like the Jonas Brothers picked it up and started sharing it on their pages, and like I just made like so many sales. It was crazy. That I honestly think that if you could start a small business, if you have an art or a passion you want to do, it's not as crazy hard as you might be making it in your head. And then my third job that I do now is social media, and I think that's a beast. That's a, you know, everyone who does social media is still figuring out how to do it, but it's just, you got to get over the hump of like, my friend calls it like the cringe, like the beginning, like the cringe mountain, when like at first you're making them and like you're embarrassed, you don't know what you're doing. You got to get over it. Like my first social media page where I was like trying to like support my small business, I look on that now and I'm like, that is so cringe, but I had to get over that like cringe mountain of, you know, be uncomfortable to be able to now make social media videos. And there's still plenty cringe, you know, sometimes, but that's just kind of how it is. You're learning and you're doing it as you go.
That is very true. I don't think any of us have it figured out. We're just doing the best that we can. The thing that I want to talk about here with like your Salem, in basically this was almost like a seasonal kind of job where you show up, you do it for a certain amount of time, and then you can move on to the next job, right?
Yep. I just worked on weekends. I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like full day. And then it was just for like the first week, like basically a little bit more than October, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, no, that I think that's great, because like a lot of people do talk about having like seasonal jobs. That's a really cool one, honestly, especially the fact that you got to like kind of act it out and do some things that were like super cool, and people come to see that from all over the place. But something else that's like a seasonal job that I have some friends going out to do right now is like Sturgis. Some people are going to go work at Sturgis, which is a massive bike rally. Basically, they're going to go do bar backing or work in like certain areas like ticket taking when you're at like parking lots and whatnot. You can make money pretty much anywhere. You just have to figure out where to do it. Also, with your like starting a business, the art thing is something that I see all the time. I don't know if you've been to like van meetups or like big meetups. There's a lot of people out there that are selling like wire wrapped stone, or they're doing like wood carvings and things like that. So if you have a passion for something artsy, you can literally do van life, go from one event to the next, and end up basically making your living by selling it to the other van lifers or people that show up.
Yeah, absolutely. I was doing it for a while. It was how I considered my small business. It was like not enough to sustain me, but I was using it as like, oh, I want to go travel there. Like, this is my extra money to be able to do that. And
so something I really think is like funny to me that happened a couple of other podcasts ago was we had a horror story of basically someone in a van was being followed by another person while they were on the highway, and then pulled over. They blocked them in with another vehicle. It was a terrifying thing. But have you ever had any like horror stories? I know I see your videos of like people playing hacky sack in a Walmart parking lot. That's not really horrifying, but have you had anything crazy?
I definitely have a lot of weird situations. Like, yeah, that guy actually has a full video on my YouTube channel, and like in the full video, he actually like the ball hits him in a very horrible place to be hit, and then he screams like, I've just got hit in the balls, like really loud in the parking lot. And I have the whole thing like on video. I didn't realize it when I first posted that. It just made it like so much funnier. But Walmart's definitely a weird place in the middle of the night. So definitely seen some things. But my worst situation, my horror story for sure, is I was in Chicago, which, you know, just bad enough as it starts, you know, it's not going to go uphill from here. I was in Chicago. I was at a Walmart overnight, and I wake up to like my vehicle being pulled off the ground, and I'm like being towed like in my sleep. So I run to like the front of the vehicle, and I'm like pounding on the window, like, hey guys, like put me down. Like, there's someone in here. And he comes up, and he's just covered in video cameras, like a camera here, like on the front, on his back. And like he has a friend, like someone else, like over by like the tow truck. And like, there's just, you can tell there's like suspense here, like something's happened. And he's like, just like being very calm and very polite. But I guess two people had overdosed in the parking lot that night, and there was like an ambulance and there was cop cars. And I slept through the whole thing because I wore headphones to sleep, which is a giant no. But I was just starting, and I made a big mistake. And then I woke up to chaos, and I had no idea what was happening around me. So
yeah, that's nuts. Being towed in the middle of your sleep, it sounds ridiculous. So sleeping with headphones is a no-no, right? While you're in van life? Yeah.
That's a big no for me.
Yeah. Do you sleep with like white noise or anything, or are you just like it's dead silent?
I think that situation made me like want to be always hyper aware of my situations. In my next van build, I am just gonna go super hardcore on like safety and like extra locks on every door. And I already have so many different ideas of how I want to make this vehicle more safe so that I can go to sleep and feel more safe. And maybe I could do those kind of things. But I definitely in this van, I love being just aware of what's happening around me but also like when I'm at Walmart, it like makes for very interesting times because I'll hear something and I'll look at my window and they'll just be like 1 a.m. and some guys just like driving like one of those like little scooters around the parking lot in circles. And I'm like, is he okay? Probably not.
Yeah.
But so.
Are you talking about the scooters that they have in the stores?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what? Those
That's
are
what
actually really fun to ride.
he was just like in the middle of the parking lot for like 20-30 minutes just going at it, and I was like, that dude's living the best life he can. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
honestly,
happy for
that
him.
sounds fun. I worked my first like job was at a grocery store, and I would love when the people that had handicap whatever would leave the track out there or the cart out there, and I would just like ride around on it for a little bit and then bring it back in, or it would die and then I'd have to push it back, which was terrible. Those things don't move very well.
Yeah.
With like van life, there is so many things that are like on the good side, on the bad side. What would you say is like your like least favorite thing about van life?
Probably the safety aspect probably is like what like gets me the most.
Mm-hmm.
What I think about the most. I don't like when the cops knock on the door. I've had it like 3-4 times, and I don't like that anxiety. I don't like feeling like I'm doing something wrong just by like living and trying to find somewhere to sleep. The anxiety of like trying to find somewhere to sleep and then wondering like, is someone gonna knock? That's not really fun, I would say. But I loved like when I would pick a 9 to 5 job and I'd pick like 4 spots and I would just cycle through them and I knew where I was going. I felt safe then. I knew the locations. I felt comfortable after like a few weeks. But now that I'm like traveling full time, or I was, because now I'm doing a new van build, so that's coming to an end. It got a little bit more worrisome. Like I found that once I was going out west, it really changes where you can sleep and like the towns change. So I was staying in a lot more hotels when out west, like out east. I was just constantly at Walmarts or just like public places that would allow it. They don't do that as much out west. So I was having to change how I operate and where I find places to sleep. So that's not a fun thing for me, I don't think.
No, I think that honestly really is the most stressful part of it. Like I've talked about this in a couple of videos, but like the iOverlander app, basically, like everyone uses it, and the fact that everyone uses it to find specific locations. Like, let's say it wants you to park at this beach right here. Like, it's okay. Everybody's done it. Like, it gives you the thumbs up. Then everybody starts doing it. And then the cops start coming and knocking and getting you out of there. So, like, using those apps have become like terrible, in my opinion.
Yeah. What is your opinion on how it's illegal to film in national parks? Right, I learned this like yesterday.
I actually did want to talk to you about this.
I'm actually like a little bit like fumed about it. Like I'm honestly like, I don't know if you curse in your podcast, but I'm genuinely pissed. Like I think it's terrible, and I don't think it's unconstitutional. It's against like freedom of press, freedom of speech, and you have to like get a permit, which is $150. I am never gonna make $150 on a video for at least the next few months. Like there's no ROI on that. And then like it could take 2 months to get back, so you can't just make a video on the whim. And they might say no, like they could reject it, and then you lose $150 and you don't get to film. And I was talking to someone else who told me that, like there was someone who got the permit and there was actually a chaperone who had to go with them to film. And there's just so many different things that are just problematic, and it's horrible because it's like I saw so many videos about it and people were like, I'm not going to film, or I'm not going to get into filming and making videos because I want to film at national parks and I can't. And it's like, we're not hurting the environment like by talking about national parks. Everyone knows about national parks. Like they're not some secret spot. But with that said, I love your opinion on, I'm actually making a meeting with my senator and we're talking about what we could do to change that law. But there's two sides a little bit about how is it kind of like geotagging is getting out of control and people are ruining small locations. Because also this law also attends to BLM lands as well. So it's not just national parks. So do you think that reversing the law is hurting national parks in the sense that it's like, or, BLM land, reversing it would hurt and like overpopulate those areas? Or do you think that it's just overall like creators should be able to make videos there?
So I personally think that it is bullcrap that you cannot film there. And I learned this probably 4 or 5 months ago. One of my friends owns one of the like big national park Instagrams, and she can film there, but she has those permits and whatnot. But I think it would not hurt them any more than it already is, like being damaged by the foot traffic, basically, because if you're already currently not allowed to take videos there. I tried to go to Zion National Park, which was like maybe a month ago, and there was a 4 mile line just to get into any parking areas over there. So I'm like, what's the point of like making a video illegal just to do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. If they're wondering about the geotagging or like being overpopulated, it already is, especially on days like on the holidays. It's ridiculous. On weekends, it's ridiculous. Like, you cannot get into these national parks unless you go on like a weekday early in the morning, and I mean early in the morning. So I don't think it can hurt it any more than it already is. These national parks are great, and I think they should be able to do videos, whatever you want to do, because it's part of America. You should be able to show off your country, and people should be able to see it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say if, so I'm kind of like talking to a lot of people about what their opinions is and what they'd like to see changed, because I'm talking to like my senator, and like I feel like I'm the kind of person who I'm not just going to get pissed. Like, I'm going to get pissed and I'm going to like actually like try to change it. I actually, like when I worked in Disney World, I actually caused such a problem when they like tried to force a rule that wasn't actually a rule, that like when I went to California to work in Disneyland, they like brought it up in the orientation, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's me they're talking about right now. But like, it's the rule for the better, and it actually like helps people. So I feel like maybe that's preparing me to take on now the government with this law, because I'm like, I hate the law, and I think everyone kind of hates it, but there's also
They
that like
do.
second side of the geotagging. What would you say to like a senator or someone like about like wanting to see a change? Like, what kind of change would you like? Is there an alternate option you think that you could see happening if like they don't want to get rid of the permit system completely? Like, what would you say?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking like a permit would be fine. They shouldn't be charging for it, but like just like you have to get like the passes or permits to actually hike some of the hikes to keep the foot traffic down, like a video permit may be something that would be in order as well. So I think that would be a good option to keep that. But I don't know how they would regulate that. Like,
Yeah.
it's everybody's got a video of something. Like, I've got videos of concerts on my phone that are probably illegal because you're not supposed to be having flash photography in there, right? Who knows about it? Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the
No.
problem is the sharing it, which is sad because you can't even post like the Zion videos and like have it not monetized on YouTube. So, like a video, it's still illegal because like YouTube can make money. So even if you're not making money off the video, you still can't even post it, which seems extremely silly. And then as well, like I can't even post it on Instagram because I might make a one millionth of a penny off of it. Like Instagram and TikTok like don't pay their creators that well, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like I can't even post like a small clip on Instagram. I could, because you could go to jail for 6 months, get fined
Mm-hmm.
$1,000, and never be able to film in national parks again. Like, that's a little extreme to go to jail for 6 months. Like, that's a little
Very
far.
much so. Yeah, very much so. I think that's more than a slap on the wrist for one video that you're going to post and make money off of it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't think anyone that is watching this will agree with it at all. So I think you're in the right like headspace in talking to the senator and trying to figure some things out. But with your platform, I think it's going to be a great option to actually like spread awareness to it, and you can pull some other people into it. Like, I know you said that Nikki Delventhal is the one that like kind of spilled the beans
Told
for
me,
you about that one. Yeah, so
told me the
she was
nicest way
great about that.
possible.
What
She
was
was
that?
so sweet. She told me like the nicest way possible. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
she didn't, I think that she knew that I didn't know, and she didn't want to just be like, hey, like,
yeah,
I know you don't have a permit and you made this video because I know that you're new to this and you don't know. But like, she didn't, like, she said it in the nicest way possible. She was like, how did you get a permit? And like, like, I've been trying to get one. Like, so I was like, oh my gosh, what's a permit? Like, what is it? Like, why would I need a permit? And I started like panicking at 1 a.m. I had just
yep.
spent 3 days editing the video, like a second video of
Oh
Zion National
no.
Park, after just posting a video that was like doing my best I've done in a very long time. So I was excited, and I was like, well,
Yep.
that video now can't be posted. This video I took 3 days to edit, garbage,
Mm-hmm.
3 days of my
Yep.
life gone. So she was so nice about it, gave me a lot of recommendations of what I could talk to the senator about, ways I could try to like really make a change in it. And she's been so supportive, and I love her channel. I just think she's super cool. So
Yeah, no, Nikki is incredible. We hung out with her not too long ago. We went out to this like little camp spot, and she was like the nicest human being ever. And that girl is serious about like the way that she does her content it's a well-oiled machine. She knows exactly what she's doing. She has it down. It's so crazy. And it's so exciting. Like she just got Knight. Did you see that she signed with Knight, which is the same management system that Mr. Beast uses?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is wild. She's doing incredible things. Yeah, no, I like that a lot. So we'll move on really quick. We've got a few minutes here left, but the other side, so not so much the horror stories or anything. There's always blessings in everything that you do. So I want to know the blessings that you have found along the road in the past 2.5 years in van life.
Yeah, I think the number one blessing I have now that I didn't take advantage of for the first year and a half of van life before I got into social media was the community of people. And I was kind of very alone in the van life kind of community before I started posting on social media and like reaching out. And it was very different. It was a very different feeling, like living in a van and like not knowing anyone who lives in a van. And then people give you weird looks, of course, you don't understand it. And you start to feel kind of ostracized for doing it, even though like I loved it at the time. And now that I know a lot of van lifers and like my job is talking to van lifers and people who are trying to get into van life, it just kind of blossomed the entire experience for me. And I love it even more and I get more passionate about it. And I feel like I just love it. Like I haven't been to a van meetup yet, but I wanted to get to send on so bad. But I'm an East Coast van lifer. There's like no meetups over here.
I actually wanted to ask you about that. Like, how is the community up in like the Northeast? Because like I only know of a handful, and most of them don't actually live in the van. They just build them or have lived in them, and they kind of like did a little bit of other things. Like Jared Tachi has the tiny house going on up there, and then you got like Nick Nelson. He has exploration vans. He's not living in the van, but he's building some cool ones.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot less. You can even tell when like I got out more west, I could see a lot more actual like van life vehicles places. Over here, it was like I see one and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so rare. Like, it's like a unicorn. So I think that also though it does help in the sense of with less people who are living in vans, you're gonna get in trouble less often. Because like you were saying with iOverlander, like when people find all the same spots, they're always there, and the cops are gonna come. So I think that kind of helps that it's not as popular here. People aren't as recognizable of it. They really are shocked and they don't know about it over here, I feel like. But I was just in San Diego for a month and people know about it. there's vans everywhere. So I feel like it was very different.
Yeah, San Diego, I can drive down the road I'm at. I could probably drive for at least 20 seconds and probably count about 4 vans. And I'm not even in an area where van life is like very hot. If I go to like the beach, it's like van. The West Coast is van coast, in my opinion. And East Coast, I haven't been up there yet. So I just didn't know anything about the culture or like lifestyle. If anybody's actually out there doing it.
It's definitely less of a community of people over here, which is why we don't have like, van expos and whatnot or, meetups. But Jared, I was telling him that I was like so excited for the West Coast. And I was like, van life is going to get so much better because there's actually van lifers out there. And he was like, you're going to miss the East Coast and it's so much better over here. And I was like, no. And then I got out there for a while and I was like, do I miss the East Coast? Do I actually like it over here? I feel like the difference is it's all nature out there and it's all very far to drive to get to one thing to the other. Out here, like you drive a little bit and you're at the next spot. And I feel like I'm very used to the East Coast in that way, like the cities. And I feel like it's definitely a style type of what you enjoy. If you like nature, you're not going to find free campsites out here. You're just not. Like I've never found one once. So you're going to get Walmart parking lots most of the time. So I'm okay with that. So I like it. So
what's the temperature up there in the East Coast right now?
It was like 100 degrees today. It's out of control.
No, not at all. It's like 78 during the day here. And I'm like, oh, it's so hot. And you're over there sweating 30 degrees hotter. It's insane.
I am actually not full-time van life right now though. So I'm at my parents' house because this van's getting sold. So I'm cleaning it out. I'm getting ready for the next van build. So I do have a reprieve of air conditioning when I'm not filming. So I will say that because I think people think I'm full-time right now and I've not been full-time for like a week, which is a new thing, but it's nice to have air conditioning for sure.
Well, that's funny because the last podcast that you and I were on, I was living at my parents' house trying to finish the van to get out of there. And now we have reversed.
Yep.
How the tables turn. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end the podcast. And I really appreciate you being on here. We'll have to do it again for sure. I really enjoy talking to you and you always have something new to say. So thank you. I'm sure like where people can find you is every pretty much social platform ever. Where would that be?
Mostly Instagram and YouTube are my two big ones. I'm trying to like YouTube is like my big thing that I'm doing now. Like I'm trying to endeavor in, but yeah, just Tory Delury everywhere.
How do you spell that?
TORYDELURY, which is not
I
the
always
proper
forget the
spelling of
last
my real name. Yeah, it's not the. I had to change the spelling a few months ago because someone like stalked me and found my parents' house and like threatened my life. So.
Yeah, there's another horror story right there. Honestly,
So
there's been a
many.
lot of that. I've had some solo female van lifers like have some pretty bad horror stories about people coming up to them, and like even police officers coming up to them like, I saw your video and you're living in a van in my city. You need to get out of here. I'm like, what the heck, dude? But yeah, that's one of the not so nice sides of social media is people know you and they're going to find you.
No one has ever recognized me, and that's because like in my videos I wear makeup, and like real life when I'm going to the grocery store, like wait, and it's not the same. It's not the same.
I've been recognized, but I can't say the makeup thing is the thing that's not helping me there. All right. Well, it was good talking with you guys. If you want to follow her, I will put some links down below for you to follow. And I appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.